My master used to say that we should practice first and then try to understand. Because the practice itself gives the necessary understanding of what we are doing. But it is one of the fallacies of our human intellect that we seek to understand before we do something. That is the whole structure, I think. And especially is this true of spirituality, because as Master used to say, all knowledge comes by doing something and then writing about it. Even scientific knowledge. Nowadays, there is a mistaken notion that science teaches first and then you practice. It's not correct. It was always an idea that started first, that there is something, then the mind went into the thing, and the conclusions of the mind was proved in the physical world by experiment. So experiments only confirm what the intuition already teaches us. So to try to have knowledge first and then to go on for practice is like putting the cart before the horse. It is for this reason that even in our schools, we have some experiments in science, and all students know that they learn from the books first and then practice the experiment to prove that it is right. So if you come to spirituality, what are we trying to prove here by our experience? That a God exists. Because the intuition tells us that nothing comes from nothing. Therefore, if all this vast universe with its mysteries, with its wonders, with its marvels exists, there must be some beginning, some cause for it. Now some people call it the primal cause, some call it the original cause, some call it God. In Sahaj Marg we call it the center. That's a very nice way of calling it, addressing it, because it has 2-3 purposes. The first idea is that when we talk of a God, we always imagine him in some way as an anthropomorphic God. It is inevitable. Man cannot possibly accept that God can be a buffalo or a fish. That is why in the Eastern traditions you find God as an immense figure with more hands, more legs, more eyes than the ordinary human being. That is, he is a superhuman figure with superhuman powers. When we call the cause the center, this idea is removed. The second idea is that if we have a God, then we have the various religions which say my God is superior to your God. And we have the most unfortunate tragedy of religious wars killing millions of people. And the tragedy is made much worse and more foolish when we think that all religions say there can be only one God. And therefore, if each religion says my God is superior to your God, they are talking nonsense. And this is unfortunately made worse because we come to religion with emotions. And religion has played upon these emotions to put one kind of person against another kind, and therefore humanity has been divided by religions. When we say the center, this problem cannot arise. Therefore we claim that spirituality unites, whereas religion divides human beings. A third important factor is that when you say God, some imagine him somewhere far away in some heaven, whereas all mysticism, all mystic approaches say he is inside us. When we say the center, this problem also is lost. So these are 3 very important reasons why my master says center and not God. Another point which can be considered as logical is that when you think of a center, we think of everything as coming or radiating from that center. When we say God, we think of him as giving us something. Therefore we become selfish, we become beggars. But when we talk of a center which radiates from it, there is nothing to ask, we have only to receive what it gives, what it radiates. Another reason, when you think of a God, he can be kind, he can be just, he can be cruel, he can be merciful. These are our ideas of God, see. Because making him into an anthropomorphic God, we think of him as having human emotions, human loves and hates. Therefore we call him kind when he gives us, we call him cruel when he denies us, as we think. Now if it is the center, such a problem cannot arise. For example, it's like the sun, which is the center of our solar system. It radiates its light and heat. It has no love or hate. It has no favoritism. It has no friends and enemies. It radiates because that is its function. We can say it is its existence. By its existence, it makes the solar system illuminated and also heats up, let us say, by that fact. Now all that is necessary for us to receive its benefits is to present ourselves before it. We don't have to ask, we don't have to pray, we don't have to beg. We have to expose ourselves. That is what we do in meditation. We imagine that there is a divine being who has come from the center as the master. We present ourselves before him. That is all that is necessary. Because many people say, oh, this master may be like this, that master may be like that. Will he like us? Will he give to us? In religion it is possible, because religious priests may have likes and dislikes. Because most religions will accept only people from their own religion into their places of worship. That is why even in the Old Testament you have the idea of a jealous God, an angry God, a vengeful God. And this exists in all religions. This my master has said very beautifully when he said that religion employs two instruments, fear and temptation. In spirituality, there is neither fear nor temptation. The sun does not say, if you don't come before me, you will feel cold. When we are away from it, we feel cold and we go out and stand before the sun. I remember one story which I read when I was in school many years ago, which deals with the power of power, you see. It seems that the sun, the rain, and the wind, they all started talking who is the most powerful. And each claimed it was the most powerful. Then they said, let us have a test. One old man was going with a lot of coats and overcoats. And they said, we shall try to remove his clothes from him by our powers. So the rain was coming in gusts and then it came in a storm and soaking him. But the more it rained, the more clothes he put on. It accepted failure. Then the wind said, aha, now I will try. It started blowing, first as a gentle breeze, then as a little wind. But the stronger it blew, the more this fellow tightened his dress and coat. The wind had to accept defeat. Then out came the sun. As it started rising and becoming hotter and hotter, first he took off his overcoat, then his coat, then his pullover. You can judge what happened. You see, we can see it in summer here also. So that is the idea of using one's essence to make us stand naked before that presence. There is no demand, there is no compulsion, but by being itself in a more and more vital way, it makes us unconsciously become naked before it. So my master used to say that is the power of love. See, the more you love, the more you must disarm the beloved. So that is the secret power of love which we use in spirituality. Therefore, when the master sits before you, he loves in a universal way. He offers nothing, he promises nothing, because to do so would be to utilize the power of temptation. He does not threaten anything, he does not give any rules and regulations, because then that would be using the power of fear. So all that you can say of a master is, he is present, he is. What can he do for us? Well, we have to find out by sitting before him. Therefore, in Sahaj Marg, my master always used to say, the abhyasi is the proof of the system. If he gets and he feels he has got or she has got, that is the proof. Incidentally, this is true of everything. Suppose you make something which you think is very good, a soup for instance. The person who eats it must say it is good. It's no use the cook saying it is very good, isn't it? Therefore, shops, restaurants, they have to depend on the reputation that they build up as good organizations, good institutions. That is, reputation is built up by performance. Now religions get away with the whole thing by tempting us and by frightening us. So in a sense, a religious devotee really has no time to think about whether he is receiving anything at all. Because most religions reinforce their own power by saying that if you think you have not got something, it is a lack of faith and you shall be doubly punished. Therefore, people know they have got nothing, but they are afraid to say even to themselves that they have got nothing. In spirituality, we have nothing but the truth, the whole truth. Because the master exists, we sit before him, we receive or not receive as we experience it among ourselves by our growth. And like when you put clothes out to dry, it takes half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, depending on how wet the cloth is. Similarly, depending on our level of grossness, a certain time is taken before we can know what we are getting at all. Therefore, it is necessary to have patience until we are relatively dry in his presence. It is like a window pane. If it is very dirty, you cannot see through it. It does not mean there is no light outside. So we have to clean it until it allows the light to come inside. This cleaning too is largely done by the master. Therefore, as I say again, it takes time. How much time? We cannot possibly answer. Because if a saint comes and sits before the master, he will be instantly transformed into even higher levels. So how much time each one of us will take depends on how much grossness we bring with us when we come to the master. So this is a brief difference between what religion says and preaches and practices and what spirituality does. I would go further and say spirituality does not do anything. It is what we do with spirituality that matters. So when we have such meetings and invite people to come, it is to invite you to try and see what you can do with spirituality. So what spirituality achieves in your hands is a proof of your worth. Under no circumstances can it be a comment on what spirituality itself is or can do. Therefore, please don't judge spirituality as such, because it is a judgment on yourselves that you are making when you enter into spiritual practice. It is like a man who is dirty after traveling, recognizes he is dirty and has a shower. What can the water do? You come out and see for yourself after you have had your bath. So I request all of you to bear this in mind, that neither the master nor the spiritual values of whatever he may be or is can be judged by us except by what we are able to use it for upon ourselves. And this is also a very simplest piece of understanding, because you put a stone in water, it will not dissolve. But if you put salt or sugar, it dissolves almost instantly. It is neither the blame of the water that it could not dissolve the stone, nor the credit of the water that it dissolves the sugar and the salt. The credit or blame belongs to that which is put into the water. So in spiritual practice, our success, our failure is our credit or blame. It has nothing to do with the system or the master. Our success or failure is our credit or blame, and it has nothing to do with the master or the system. So, once again, I'd like you to think over this, undertake this practice with as much enthusiasm, discipline as you possibly can, and to see for yourselves what you can become by this practice. Thank you.